The night my life changed forever began like any other family dinner. The table was full, the food was warm, but something in the air felt cold. My parents sat across from me, not smiling, not asking how my day was. I remember holding my spoon, my hands slightly shaking, because deep down I felt something bad was coming. Then my father cleared his throat and said the words that still echo in my head. "You have 2 days to pack your things and leave this house." No explanation, no argument, just a decision they had already made. In that moment, I felt like the ground disappeared under my feet. I looked at my mother, hoping she would say something, anything, to stop him, but she avoided my eyes. My siblings stayed quiet. No one defended me. It was as if I had suddenly become invisible. I wanted to scream, to ask what I had done wrong, but my voice wouldn't come out. I stood up slowly, walked back to my room, and closed the door behind me. That room, which had once felt safe, suddenly felt like a place I no longer belonged. That night, I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. My mind replayed every memory, every small mistake, every time I had tried to make them proud. I realized something painful. No matter how hard I tried, it was never enough for them. The tears came quietly, not loud crying, just silent tears sliding down my face. I wasn't crying because I was being kicked out. I was crying because I finally understood that the people I expected love from the most had already given up on me. The next 2 days passed like a blur. I packed my clothes, my books, and a few photos from childhood. My parents didn't help. They didn't ask where I was going. On the morning I left, my father simply said, "Good luck." That was it. I walked out of the house with one suitcase and no plan. I had no job, no savings, and nowhere to go. But I also carried something else with me. Something I didn't fully understand yet. A quiet determination. I moved into a tiny, cheap apartment. The walls were thin, the furniture was old, and the place smelled like dust. But it was mine. That first night, I sat on the floor, my back against the wall, and felt completely alone. For a moment, fear tried to take over. What if I failed? What if my parents were right about me? Then another thought followed, stronger than the fear. What if this was my chance to prove everyone wrong? The next morning, I started applying for jobs. I sent out dozens of applications every day. Most companies never replied. Some rejected me within hours. One interviewer even told me I wasn't experienced enough and suggested I aim lower. Each rejection hurt, but instead of stopping, it pushed me harder. I reminded myself that I had nothing left to lose. After weeks of trying, I finally got a small opportunity. A junior position at a small company. The pay was low, the hours were long, and the work was exhausting. But I accepted it without hesitation. On my first day, I promised myself one thing. I would work harder than anyone else. I arrived early, stayed late, and learned everything I could. When others complained, I stayed quiet and focused. Slowly, people started noticing. Months passed. I became someone my team depended on. My boss trusted me with bigger responsibilities. Projects that others struggled with, I handled with care and creativity. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. Not because of my family name, but because of my effort. Every small success rebuilt a piece of the confidence my parents had destroyed. One evening, after a long day at work, my phone rang. It was my sister. Her voice sounded nervous. She told me our parents were in trouble. Financial trouble. Debts they couldn't manage. A situation they couldn't fix alone. Then she said the words I never expected to hear. "They want to talk to you." I sat there in silence, my heart racing. Memories flooded back. The dinner table, the cold words, the way they looked through me. A part of me wanted to hang up and walk away. After all, they had done that to me. But another part of me wanted to face them, not as the broken child they had kicked out, but as the person I had become. When we finally spoke, they didn't apologize right away. They talked about their problems, their stress, their fear. They talked about needing help. That hurt almost as much as the night they kicked me out. Still, I listened. Then I said something that surprised even me. I told them I would help, but only if they accepted responsibility for what they had done. Only if they admitted they were wrong. Only if they treated me with respect. There was a long pause. I could almost feel their pride struggling. But in the end, they agreed. Not because they wanted to, but because they needed to. When we met again as a family, everything felt different. I wasn't the one begging for acceptance anymore. I was the one in control. Standing in front of everyone, I spoke honestly. I talked about the pain of being rejected, the fear of starting over, and the strength it took to rebuild my life alone. Some people looked shocked. Others looked ashamed. My parents listened quietly. For the first time, they didn't interrupt me. They didn't dismiss my feelings. They heard me. Helping them fix their problems wasn't easy, but I did it. I used what I had learned, connected them with the right people, and helped them rebuild step by step. Their situation improved. Slowly, the same people who once doubted me began praising me. My parents, who once told me to leave, now introduced me with pride. But the real victory wasn't their praise. It was the way I felt inside. Strong, independent, unbreakable. I realized that revenge doesn't always mean hurting others. Sometimes, the strongest revenge is success. Sometimes it's living so well that the people who doubted you have no choice but to respect you. Today, when I think back to that dinner night, it no longer hurts the same way. It reminds me how far I've come. Being kicked out didn't end my story. It started it. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When life pushes you out, it might just be making space for something better.